Well, happy Mother's Day. Do you know how you know that you're a mom? Well, you know you're a mom when your feet stick to grape jelly on the kitchen floor and you don't care. Your idea of a good day is making it through without a child leaking bodily fluids on you. Popsicles become a food staple. Your favorite television show is a cartoon. You're willing to kiss your child's boo-boo, regardless of what body part it happens to be on. You're so desperate for adult conversation that you spill your guts to the telemarketer that calls, and he hangs up on you. Spit is your #1 cleaning agent. You buy cereal with marshmallows in it. You count the sprinkles on each child's cupcake to make sure they are equal. You have time to shave only one leg at a time. You hide in the bathroom to be alone. Your kid throws up and you catch it. You cling to the high moral ground on toy weapons, but your child chooses toast into the shape of a gun anyway. You find yourself cutting your husband's sandwiches into cute shapes. You're up each night until 11 p.m. vacuuming, dusting, wiping, washing, drying, loading, unloading, shopping, cooking, driving, flushing, ironing, sweeping, picking up, changing sheets, changing diapers, bathing, helping with homework, paying bills, budgeting, clipping coupons, folding clothes, putting them to bed, dragging them out of bed, brushing, chasing, buckling, feeding them, not you, plus swinging, playing baseball, bike riding, pushing trucks, cuddling dolls, rollerblading, basketball, football, catch, bubbles, sprinklers, slides, nature walks, coloring, crafts, jumping rope, plus raking, trimming, planting, edging, mowing, gardening, painting, and walking the dog. You get up at 5:30 a.m. and you have no time to eat, sleep, drink, or go to the bathroom, and yet you still manage to gain 10 pounds. I'd say that about covers it, right? You know, there's no argument that for each one of us to be here, we had to have a birth mother. I mean, that's it. We had somebody brought us here, right? So, now, you also have to have a father unless you're Jesus. But the difference is that the father can choose whether to participate in the birth or not. For the mother, it's not optional. You're going to show up whether you want to or not. And so I think that I believe that the process of carrying a child and birthing a child creates an intimate relationship with a child and its mother that fuels a mother's power and energy. If you think of the animal kingdom and you think of messing with an animal's young, you know who you have to deal with. Father's off doing something else. Mom is the one that takes care of business when it comes to protecting her young. So a mother's connection is not to be taken lightly. It is not to be toyed with. It is powerful. 4 years ago, I went to this sacred activism workshop that was up in Linwood, and I listened to, there was 2 speakers that were there. One was Robert Kennedy Jr., and the other was Cindy Sheehan. And Robert Kennedy Jr. was very eloquent, as you might think, and he was very impassioned, and he shared what he had to share, and he was very motivating, and he's very much into environmentalism and that sort of thing. And Cindy Sheehan got up, and of course she's very controversial, still is controversial, a lot of feelings one way or the other, dynamics and so on and so forth. But there's one thing that, regardless of how somebody might feel about her politics or her dynamics, there's one thing that you cannot not experience, and that is her motherhood and the essence of what drives her energy. Because essentially, she had an experience of losing a child in war, which many women have that experience. And for her, she got angry. And you don't mess with the anger of a mother who lost her young. Regardless of the circumstances, regardless of any intellectual or any other functional argument, there's an incredible power and energy that exists in the context of that experience. Now, she's still is not a particularly good speaker. She is not a particularly eloquent speaker, but she's a powerful speaker because of the power of that energy. Not so much in the words. You know, we may agree or disagree with the words, but you can feel the passion and the power, and she's an example of someone who was and is fighting back against something that impacted her deeply. Now, she was mad about war. She's not mad about a war. She's mad about war in general. And the seeming disregard for life and so on and so forth. Those are all of the conversations that she has. And woe to those who mess with that kind of energy, because there is no dealing with that energy in terms of trying to mitigate it, because it needs to be expressed. It's a part of the healing process. It's a part of, not just for her, but for anyone who may have lost somebody in a difficult experience. Now, it seems to me that one of the things that she did is she coined a term that I kind of like, and if there's one thing I 4 years ago took away from that experience, is the term matriot. Because we think in terms of our culture and our society as being somewhat patriarchal, although that energy has been being shifted and there's more balance that I feel is coming into our experience as time goes on. But she coined the term matriot, and she defined matriot as the feminine of patriot. And so a matriot is defined as someone who loves their country, who is loyal to their country, and who insists on nonviolent solutions to the problems of their country. And so there's a feminine sort of dynamic that enters in. And there seems to me that there should be a right and perfect balance, because balance is really what we're trying to achieve in our spiritual life. There is a balance between patriot and matriot. That there's a balance that, if that balance exists, then wise decisions tend to come forth out of that balance. When that balance does not exist, one way or the other, then the decisions don't have the fullness of what they could have in terms of how we move forward in our experience. And so I believe that the mother is calling us into balance. It's calling us into moving into a more balanced experience in our life. Charles Fillmore said in The Revealing Word that the metaphysical meaning of divine motherhood is that it is the brooding, nourishing element of divine mind or God in which spiritual ideals are brought forth into fruition. You hear that? It's the brooding, nourishing element of divine mind or God in which spiritual ideals are brought into fruition. Now, brooding references the protecting energy. So it protects those ideas and brings them into the fullness of their expression for us. I remember watching the movie Hook, which was the sequel to Peter Pan that Robin Williams was in. And one of the little scenes in there was when the little girl was captured by Dustin Hoffman, who's playing Captain Hook, and he does a great job. And he has this sort of evil persona, about him, and he captures this little girl, and she looks up at him and she says, "You're a mean man. You need a mommy." You need a mommy. And it's true. We all need a mommy. There's times when I need a mommy, you need a mommy. And all the meaning of that word, however that word can be experienced, that there are times in our life when we all just need a mommy to help us balance ourselves out and come back into our divine order, if you will. And so, it's not that we discount the masculine energy at all. The masculine energy is important to our experience. It's that we are seeking to find a balance between the two that is appropriate to move forward in our life in a very powerful and loving way. And motherhood, whenever its presence, is the protecting and nourishing energy of the divine that's coming through us. And we all have that in us. We all have those aspects and elements within us. It's not that we necessarily need to seek that mothering experience out here by somebody else. It's already in us, that we call it forth into expression. We all have the capacity to mother, to deal with our children or with anyone to express loving energy, to be, protecting, to all the things that need to be done.